Good morning and welcome to IG's early morning call on IGTV on Monday, the 12th of February. I'm Angela Barnes. Coming up on today's programme. Well, equity markets are set for a higher start in Europe. US and UK inflation figures will be key data points for investors to watch this week. And oil prices are lower this morning after last week's advances. Iran's foreign minister flagged that Israel-Hamas conflict could be moving closer to a diplomatic solution. And a quieter week on the earnings front, but there are some key ones to watch, including Coca-Cola and Cisco in the US and NatWest in the UK, the latter kicking off the reporting period for UK banks. Well, let's start this morning by taking a look at volatility and see what the VIX index is doing this morning. Well, it's currently higher on the day, up 0.41%. Well, since Monday, 5th of February, volatility has decreased, remaining very subdued. Since the 6th of February, it's remained in this range between around 14.21 and around 14.53. And as I said, today it's higher on the day, up 0.41%. Well, with 30 minutes to go until the European markets open, let's have a look at the pre-market. And when I last looked, it was set for a slightly higher open, and that's still the case. The FTSE 100 up 0.21% at the moment. France's CAC 40 also set for that higher open, up 0.43%, and Germany's DAX also in the green, up 0.28% at the moment. Well, on Friday, European markets closed slightly lower as investors digested the latest slew of corporate earnings and economic data. Tech stocks were 1.2% higher, while food and beverages stocks dropped 1.5%. UK inflation will be a main economic data point to watch this week, along with the monthly German ZOE index. Growth is also in focus too, with the first look at Q4 gross domestic product GDP for the UK. Well, how about Asia markets overnight? Asia Pacific. Well, it was mixed to start a holiday shortened week for most markets, while China remains shut for the week. Let's have a look. Nikkei 225 up 0.09%. Australia's S&P ASX 200 down 0.39%, and the wider topics down 0.19%. Well, many major stock markets in Asia Pacific were closed, including Hong Kong, Taiwan and South Korea. Japan's Nikkei was higher, while the broader topics dipped, as you can see. But the Nikkei breached the 37,000 point mark on an intraday basis, touching 34-year highs on Friday. And investors will now be keeping an eye out for Japan GDP data on Wednesday, due Q4 preliminary figures. Growth, well, it's expected to be 0.4% quarter over quarter and 1.6% year over year. What about US markets on Friday? Well, the S&P 500 rose 0.5%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite led the way higher, gaining 1.3% on Friday. US stocks gained after the S&P 500 crossed the historic 5,000 milestone for the first time during intraday trading last week. Well, the record-setting session came as investors applauded a revision of December inflation data that showed it was even lower than first reported. Well, waves of well-received quarterly earnings as well also buoyed stocks, with big names in tech powering a huge chunk of market gains. And let's have a look at how things are looking pre-market now. Well, the US 500 is set for, it's flat at the moment. And then if we look at the tech-heavy Nasdaq as well, that's set for a rather flat open, just up marginally, 0.01%. And then Wall Street down 0.02%. So also rather subdued and hesitant start to the week. Investors will be keeping across US inflation data. That's due on Tuesday. We've also got retail sales on Thursday and initial jobless claims for the week ending the 10th of February. And more earnings, more on that in a moment. But let's move on to Australia, because on the economic front, what can we expect? Well, at 11:30 p.m, Australia's Westpac consumer confidence data will be released. The index is seen as falling to 80.4. It was previously 81. An index score above 100, just a reminder, indicates that optimists outweigh pessimists. Okay, what else is on the agenda? Well, macro events to watch in the UK this week. We have unemployment data out on Tuesday. The unemployment rate is expected to rise to 4% from 3.9%. On Wednesday, we have consumer price data, CPI for January. Prices are expected to grow 3.9% year over year and 0.4% month over month, from 4% and 0.4% respectively. Core CPI, meanwhile, set to rose by 5.1% in December year over year. Then Thursday, we've got Q4 GDP growth rate preliminary figures. Quarter over quarter growth expected to be flat. Year over year, it's expected to be 0.2% from 0.3%. And then as well, moving on, other economic data to watch this week. We've got the ZOE indicator of economic sentiment for Germany due at 10 a.m. on Tuesday for February. Index is expected to rise to 15.3. It rose by 2.4% to reach 15.2 plus 15.2 in January, surpassing market expectations. And then in the US as well, then on Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. we have CPI data, which will be released for January. Prices are forecast to rise 3.7% year over year and 0.3% month over month, from 3.9 and 0.3% in December. Core consumer price index expected to be 0.2 and 3.4, from 0.3 and 3.4. We'll also have a host of US earnings, which I'll come to in a moment. But let's start as well with, we've got Europe's biggest travel operator, TUI, will release its latest results on Tuesday. 2023 was a good year for the travel giant, according to the company's results for financial year 2023. In December, it reported that revenue rose 11% to 8.5 billion euros, while investors zeroed in on a forecast for EBIT to increase by at least 25% year on year in 2024. Now, if we just move over to the price chart for the company, well, since the start of the year, the company's share price has fallen about 11%. Well, let's move on to US earnings, because on the earnings front in the US, we'll hear this week from Coca-Cola to start things off on Tuesday. The drinks giant is expected to record stronger sales and profit growth in the fourth quarter. Revenue is seen at $10.76 billion, EPS 49 cents, net income $2.15 billion. Analysts as well will be keeping across that in 2023. If we just look at the price chart, Coca-Cola shares fell 7.4%, but investors will be keeping across unit case volume as well to see if consumers continue to accept higher prices from inflation. It's also then the turn of Airbnb as well on Tuesday with its Q4 results. The company is expected to post quarterly earnings of 0.69 cents per share and revenue of $2.16 billion, up 13.5% from the year ago quarter. The stock is down ahead of the update, currently down to 2.09%, the all-session stock on the IG platform. Year to date, its share price has gained about 8.5%. And then as well, we'll also have the Q4 results from Lyft due on Tuesday too, after the market close. Revenue is pegged at $1.22 billion, indicating a 3.6% year-over-year rise, while oil prices are likely to have led to elevated operating costs. Well, pre-market shares in Lyft are up nearly 2% there. Year to date, though, the shares are down about 18%. Well, other US earnings as well to keep an eye out for this week include Robinhood Markets and Cisco as well, and Kraft Heinz on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, it's the turn of Coinbase too. And then in the UK, for earnings to watch, we have Dunelm on Wednesday and NatWest on Friday, the latter kicking off the reporting period for UK banks. Well, before we go, let's just have a quick look at commodities to see what oil prices are doing this morning. First of all, let's have a look at US crude, WTI, and that's down on the day 0.36%, currently trading around $76 a barrel. And if we just move over to Brent crude and have a look at that, also down on the day 0.45% at the moment, trading around $81 a barrel. Well, oil has declined following last week's advance after Iran's foreign minister flagged the Israel-Hamas conflict could be moving closer to a diplomatic solution. Well, trading remained muted as well, with many Asian markets closed for Lunar New Year holidays, as I said. So that's all we've got time for today on Early Morning Call. Thank you very much for watching. Do keep across all our social media platforms for updates and market insights throughout the day.